Hey Karu, this is a video about a camping trip I took with my friend Scott. We went to Craters of the Moon, we went to a couple of caves. One is called Dead Horse Cave, one is called Kettle Cave, and then we went to Bruno Dunes. And it was last Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. It was actually really fun. And these early shots are from our walk at Craters of the Moon, where I've been with you, and I've been a couple other times. And there was actually a walk there called the Tree Molds, which was in my Walks in the Northwest book. And so that was why we went there. But we also did a couple other walks and some long walks and spent the night in the campground there. Ate dinner out of the back of Wilbur. And it was a fun time. We got up the next morning, did a couple more walks, checked out Snow Cone, which was fun. And then we drove on to try to find these caves, which I had learned about on the internet and were in the middle of nowhere. Actually, could have gotten to them probably with a good sturdy pickup truck, but having a 4x helped a little bit, as you'll see on some of these roads. It wasn't bad at all. Probably could have done it in 2-wheel drive, but this is Dead Horse Cave, and apparently this was improved by the Oddfellows, who used to have annual meetings here, which is crazy because, like I said, it's out. It's 15, 20 miles from the nearest road, out in the middle of nowhere. And from there we went on to Kettle Cave, and I think I've talked to you about Kettle Cave before, and it was kind of the highlight of this trip for me. So you're going to see most of the video at Kettle Cave. Kettle Cave is, I think these are all old lava tubes or holes created by the basaltic flow. And that hill up in front of us at the top of it is where Kettle Cave is. And as you'll see, it has an opening in the top of its main chamber with like a 30 to 40 foot drop. And there's also a small passageway off to one side that would be the spout of the tea kettle that you have to come through to get into it. And as you can tell, it's out here in the middle of nowhere. This is, this giant basalt flow. And the wind was whipping. It was actually pretty warm. And the sun beating down. And then we went down into this. This is the side cavern you see here. And Scott's going down in there. And I'm going to pan over. And over in the distance here, I didn't actually get a video of it, but that you saw over there is the hole in the roof of the main cavern. So here we're climbing down into the cavern itself. And it's just, it's kind of magical. As soon as you get in here, it's very quiet. So I'm going to stop talking for a second and let you listen to just the quiet while we looked around in here. Yeah. So at the bottom, obviously, this area where the roof has collapsed in, there's a lot of larger stones, and there's ferns growing out of them. There was a sign there asking people not to walk on the ferns because apparently they're killing them. Interestingly, I think because of the sun coming down here, it was heating up the ground, and so when you walked around, if some dust came up, it would just rise up and go out through the hole in the roof. And it was very charismatic. You can see there's a bird's nest over there in the middle of the wall. I got some close-up shots of that later. But yeah, it felt like a mythical, something out of a fantasy novel. Because it was so quiet and cool and pleasant in here. And the wind's whipping, and it's harsh kind of exterior environment. And we just enjoyed being in here. As I mentioned, there was that bird's nest, and a large raven flew out of the hole in the roof as we approached it. And it's pretty clear that I suspect the nest was the raven's. You'll see, actually, I got back out on top and was able to get a shot down into the nest, and you can see the eggs, which is pretty cool. So on the drive out, obviously, pregnant cow.
Okay. Okay. Okay, I guess so.
There you go.
Don't need to run out.
There you go.
The
Needs milk.
Google Maps said there was a bridge at one point over this canal that didn't exist, so we had to kind of randomly follow the canal until we found a bridge to cross.
You want to go to the left?
So we headed from here over to Bruno Dunes, and when we got to Bruno Dunes,
Oh, we're not.
we
Okay.
we then
Let's go that way.
looked for a place to camp and ended up camping at the equestrian campground due to a series of mix-ups. So, but it ended up being really nice because we were the only ones there. So it was it was quite quiet and pleasant, and I got some footage and a bunch of pictures from that. And we did a little hike the following morning as well. So here we are approaching Bruno Dunes.
Yeah.
In 600 feet, turn right to stay on.
And I know I've made videos about Bruno Dunes before. This is at the equestrian campground. What happened was we thought the other campground was full because we were confused about what the date was, and there were tags on all the campsites that said it was reserved for the 23rd, and it turned out it was the 22nd. So we went over here, but it turned out actually really nice, even though it didn't have the amenities of the other campground. We were all alone, and it was quiet, and we actually got to see a ton of little kangaroo rats running around in the evening, which were very tame, actually a little scarily tame. And the sunset from this angle was just stunning. The light on the hills was absolutely beautiful. And I slept in the Land Cruiser, and Scott slept in his tent. Had a great night's sleep there. First night was a little cold. And then we went and did like a 6.5 mile hike around Bruno Dunes. And we thought about going up on top of the sand dunes, but we ended up just crossing the shoulders of it, which ended up being really good because it was super windy. And you can't really see in that video, but the dust was just blowing everywhere. And when we walked down that spot right there, it was had to close our eyes the whole time coming down because there was so much dust. Anyway, it ended up being a really fun trip. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. And then I drove home. Catch you later.